What's up? Welcome to Tales Tomorrow. I am Morrow, your storyteller for today, and with me we have some more RPG horror stories. Hey, Okay, nobody's around. Right, come here, I gotta tell you something. Haha, you look at a tiefling butt. Got him. Anyway, let's get some RPG horror stories for today. Player starts behaving like an edgy boy and makes it everyone's problem. This may be a bit of a long story, so I'll try to summarize as much as I can for this story. Also, sorry for any typos. Engrisu is not my first language. Did I pronounce it right? What? Engrisu? Engrisu? The only time I ever heard somebody pronounce it as Engrisu is if they're like from somewhere in the east. Maybe Japan or something? I don't know, honestly. Anyway, Engrisu is not your first language, and that's okay. That's something, don't worry about it one bit. I appreciate your writing anyway. The characters. Me, Alan, Zane, and Leo. I'm not gonna use letters. And of course DM, who is also my husband and has more than 10 years of DM experience. We've been playing this campaign for around 3 years now. Early in the story, Leo had to step out because of studies and work, so we all decided that the best way would be to kill the character and have an opportunity in the future to maybe revive him if they were to come back. Lore of the world. 2 years later, Leo is back and DM invites him to join again. We're all confident that this will be a good idea since Leo's character was actually pretty interesting and was friendly with the rest of the players. So we joined back. The moment was very emotional since my character and Leo's character were siblings. But then in the next session, Leo's character started being mean and very disconnected. At the start we all thought, oh yeah, of course, this must be part of the idea of slowly getting used to being revived. But no, he started lashing out to every NPC, dismissing every interaction or concern of the player characters, getting jealous and playing dumb at the same time. Leo's character lashed out an NPC that was now living with the party house in his old room. Also, this NPC is pretty much an angel at a very important part of the story. He got mad at, I think it was Alan? I think I said Alan's character girlfriend, who is the leader of the Adventurers Guild and also pretty much the queen of the main city of the world. He almost got killed by her because he insulted her capabilities as a leader. Leo's character started saying that they didn't know who they were, and when important NPCs tried to guide them, Leo's character decided to ignore them and keep sulking and behaving pretty poorly with everyone. I'm feeling there's a little bit of tension here because clearly Leo has not been around for a hot minute. I just can't tell if this is like Leo as a player behavior or this is like Leo as a player character behavior. Because if this is player character, it's all roleplay. It's all roleplay is roleplay. But if this is like player, maybe kind of be a myth. It's like, who is this? Who is that? Why are they talking about player character in the first place? I shouldn't be talked down to them or whatever. You know, maybe it's like that. I don't know. I can't tell if it's player that's actually kind of upset about them or if it's all player character, because if it's all roleplay, it's all roleplay, it's all for fun, you know. Eventually he just complained at every point in the story, tried to have sex with as many NPCs as he could. He threatened to leave the party many times because he's lost and feels like he doesn't belong anymore. Then pretty much retcon how the characters were at the start. The cheerful and curious cleric that was always trying to protect everyone, but that was actually a lie, and he was pretending to like it because he felt forced by his dad to follow his steps. Mind you, Leo's character never ever hinted that these were his true feelings about the story. DM, remember, hubby, talked with me about how he felt like Leo and Zane's character were dragging the party down. Leo because of all that I've told you, and Zane because they're pretty much non-existent and refused to interact with the other players. In essence, they were pretty much dragging the story. Send a message with all the concerns after a bit of explaining with the DM too, because I'm autistic and my message might have been a bit too direct. Zane understood the flaws of the character and will try to get better at it. But Leo started lashing out, saying stuff like, you're annoyed we're doing what we want. Is not what role-playing means? I'm just trying to play the character. If you want us to follow the story, just write a fan fiction. I don't really care about the characters, I'm just having fun. They then started accusing the DM of being a control freak and that he was taking everything too serious, basically saying that a TTRPG should be like Second Life or The Sims to actually be fun. When I asked, then why are you playing? They replied, because I just want to be here. Well, it doesn't sound like you want to play TTRPG. It sounds like you want to play The Sims or Second Life. If you want to play that, you know, you could always just go play those games. You could just play those. Sims 4, I believe, is just free now on EA Store, whatever it's called, whatever platform they use. But like, you could just go play those games instead of playing in a TTRPG. When you're playing in a TTRPG, you're playing with others. You're playing with other people that are going to be at the table. You're trying to cooperate with everybody else at the table to engage in some sort of storytelling together. If you're not gonna even do that or gonna even bother doing that, then what's the point of you being even here in the first place? You're not contributing anything towards towards the table. You're just creating problems and lashing out and stuff and just ruining the vibes for everybody else. I mean, both for Leo and Zane, I didn't know Zane was going to be like that, but yeah, Leo's definitely harshing the vibes heavily. I feel like this is one of those things where DM needs to put his foot down and say, unless things are changing, this campaign is not continuing. You really can't reason with someone that doesn't care about the story or characters. This story might sound very plain and not as drama-filled, or maybe it doesn't sound so bad in comparison to other stories here, but damn, we were doing so good with the story, and then to come back and just make it everyone's problem. Bad thing is that now I don't know what's going to happen to the campaign. Might update eventually. I personally say you need to talk with the DM and figure out what you guys want to do, and if the DM is not interested in running this sort of thing and doesn't want, want some sort of a change, they should probably speak up and say something, because I want to see what the DM actually says. Do the DM agree with you? Do the DM want to try to work things out? Is there solution to even reach here? Because if there's not, you guys should probably just shutter the game down and maybe start another one. I don't know, maybe even take a break. Who knows? You know what? I'm gonna leave it to the comment section. What do you guys think should happen to this story? While you write that, I'm gonna get to the next story for today. Main character syndrome, blatant GM favoritism, and a resentful man-child. Background: here in Brazil, finding games with systems other than D&D or Call of Cthulhu or Ordem Paranormal is pretty rare. This creates an extremely niche community on Discord servers. It's even rare when the system has heavy math and complex English reading requirements. This is the case with one of my favorite RPG systems, Dragonball Universe. There's a Dragonball TTRPG? Really? The story starts with my friend messaging me late at night, begging me to apply for a new announced DBU game so we could play together. The game was put together by a trio who already knew each other. GM, the Seiyan, GM's boyfriend, that played in the same room but on Discord, the Shinjin, their buddy. When we joined the server, we noticed the player had already quit before session 0 due to an argument about Broly's Ikari hair. My friend knew this guy from before, noted he had a history of racist opinions, so him leaving seemed like a massive green flag at the time. We thought the trio had some common sense. Oh, how wrong we were. To add diversity, I chose to play a Cerealian and my friend chose a custom species. The problem started immediately. The Saiyans started complaining that custom species were only for power gaming. GM allowed it anyway, but during some test combats, my friend noticed the GM actively padding NPC stats mid-fight just to drag the battles out. Session 1. We had an in-lore test combat. After a brief but cool puzzle exploration, GM dropped a bio-android in front of us just to act as a punching bag for 4 hours. During these hours, the Saiyan turned into an Uzaru, great ape, and took a fatidic 20-minute turn. Literally all he did was throw a rock and calculate his damage resistance. During the same fight, the Saiyan failed a simple, safe step, fell into my friend's lava terrain, and somehow got rewarded with a Zenkai boost for it. I'm gonna be honest, I don't understand the terminologies of this specific TTRPG, so if I don't understand something, I'm just gonna try to pretend like I do, even though I clearly don't. I'm probably not gonna make too much comments on the actual system itself. I'm gonna comment on the actual things that happen in the game itself. The behavior, the problem play behavior. At the end of the session, I suggest ways we could make turns faster. The trio got extremely defensive. The vibe completely soured, and they started throwing passive-aggressive jabs at my simple playstyle. They said I couldn't ask for faster turns because I only fired ki blasts and beams, which is what my race is made to do. I just ignored them and went to bed, as these sessions ran deep into the AMs. The following week, the server was filled with the trio arguing over rules. Saiyan absolutely refused to accept when his rule interpretations were wrong. We were all learning a very robust, crunchy system, but his ego couldn't take it. Session 2. It was a training session, leveling up and lore, but I had to go to sleep because, besides starting hours late than scheduled, they wanted to do another fight. I said they could fight without me and went to sleep. During the week, the trio formed a tribunal to nitpick every single comma on my friend's character sheet. Yes, he had a few errors, but the vast majority actually made him weaker, not stronger. My friend corrected them and sent a massive text explaining his build, while also pointing out errors in their sheet. Having nothing valid left to complain about, Saiyan, who was in his second semester of college from biology, started arguing about the real-world biological implications of my friend's space magic lizard race. Mind you, the Saiyan was using a rule that let him swap a trait of his character didn't know his origin, while simultaneously bragging in character about being the elite of the Saiyans. Okay, so clearly a lot of unnecessary nitpicking is happening here, and I understand, like, let's say for example you guys are playing a crunchy system and giving each other feedback, reviewing each other's sheets and stuff. When I first started playing D&D with my buddy Micah, we literally had to go through each other's sheets just to double check and make sure we're doing things correctly. I found some things that he was supposed to have, like more spells that he can prepare on a single day, or he can actually wield martial weapons instead of just two hands hand axes because nobody told him he could actually wield martial weapons before. Literally, his weapons were 2 hand axes and a crossbow because he thought that's the only thing he could actually use. Also, the fact that he can use his intelligence modifier instead of strength modifier or dexterity modifier when using magical weapons, which he can enchant with a +1 from his artificer infusions, which were never explained to him. And then he told me that I could have more than 3 spells as a level 5 warlock, and it blew my mind. He and I learned so much stuff together just by looking through each other's sheets and reading stuff together. It was insane. Nitpicking and stuff can be really good, and giving each other criticism and stuff, like productive criticism, can always be a great thing in order to make sure everybody has a proper time and good time to, like, you know, catch like some sort of mistakes, especially if it's a new, robust, nitty-gritty kind of system. But like what these guys are doing, just being mean for the sake of being mean. Well, one guy is just being like, oh, I'm just so much and full of himself, the Saiyan player. Where the Saiyan player just kind of complains for the sake of complaining just because he's not getting his way, or maybe he doesn't feel super special. I don't know, man. The Saiyan player is complaining way too much. Session 3. The Shinjin player showed up with both Potara earrings and the Z sword on his sheet. Normally you have to pick one, but the GM gave him both because he was feeling weak. In this version of DBU, the Shinjin is already incredibly overpowered. Add a Z sword, which deals more damage the stronger the sealed entity inside it is, and he had maxed out some bizarrely strong unknown beast, and he was breaking the game. Despite this, I actually enjoyed my fight that session. Shinjin, even heavily buffed, lost to a 2-level Saiyan NPC, but then our group Saiyan started his fight. We had just hit tier 2, the iconic moment to unlock Super Saiyan. Instead, he went Uzaru. The GM gave him obvious hints that to surpass his limits he needed to drop the Uzaru form and transform. Instead, the Saiyan threw a little toddler tantrum. He whined that he didn't like Super Saiyan, that it was weak, that he didn't want to waste a form slot on it, even though it was a strict prerequisite for the legendary Super Saiyan build he was aiming for. Suddenly, the GM muted himself. The other two muted themselves. My friend and I sat there in silence. When they unmuted, GM casually narrates that the Saiyan had achieved legendary Super Uzaru. Did they like yell and scream at each other or something? Did they like call on the phone to like scream at each other while they stayed muted? I don't know what's happening. I don't know what's going on. Why did they mute like that? For context, each tier is equivalent to 4 levels. We were newly tier 2. Legendary Super Uzaru is tier 4. GM gave his boyfriend a form 8 levels above ours. This form is supposed to make you completely uncontrollable and cause planetary devastations. The consequence? One single city blew up, and things went back to normal. I said goodnight and went to bed. At this point, I kept the server muted. My friend and the Saiyan started arguing heavily, and my friend had a bit of a sharp tongue, so things got salty. GM pulled me aside to complain. The Saiyan and Shinjin swore that my friend was cheating. I defended my friend mildly and offered to talk to him. That was my last interaction with the GM. My friend had a late night call with them to clear the air, and the next day we were informed the campaign was over and we were kicked. I mean, it sounds like they're doing you a favor. If this guy's going to be such a problem group, it sounds like they're doing you a favor. They're working with a robust system, and there's player favoritism and a lot of whinging and wah going on. And when there's a lot of wah, unnecessary wah going on, and I'm not talking about like complaints. When I say wah, I'm saying like baby rage kind of wah. I'm not getting my way, so wah. That's what I'm trying to say by wah. And when there's too much wah going on, I'd rather just not play in this sort of game because it just feels like a waste of time. I'm not here to like listen to somebody just, you know, wet the diapers and throw a tantrum or crash the F out. I'm just not interested in that. And sounds like the DM in the group did you guys a favor to go find a different game and a different group to play with. But the story's not over there. Let's continue. Almost half a year passes. My friend and I are in a new campaign. I was playing a sword-wielding half Saiyan. I'm a huge Future Trunks fan, and posted some character art my girlfriend drew for me in public Discord server. She used a Toriyama manga panel for pose reference. Out of nowhere, the Shinji player appears in the art chat. He posts a badly drawn parody of my character, mocking the name and description. Later we found out he traced this parody from a Twitter artist. I was confused but ignored it. Just another resentful Manchild looking for a fight. My friend DM'd him asking what his problem was. The Shinjin player blew up, accusing my girlfriend of tracing and plagiarism, and complaining that she put a watermark on the art because it's not worth anything. Watermarks actually kind of common and okay. In fact, I actually don't mind if an artist, actually specifically prefer if an artist is drawing something to leave a signature watermark someplace in the corner where they can just be like blasting their logo or their signature or just anything. When I was doing VR chat roleplays, there's particular artist that drew amazing, incredible art style. I probably still have it left over and I can post it here. I specifically love the versions where she drew her signature signature in the corner of them, and I preferred using those because to me that seems more valuable to me, because it's like that's their signature. That's their signature shows that an artist drew this, and they're drawing the little tiny little signature, cute little signatures and personalities and tiny little faces and stuff. It's just adorable. I don't know, man. I like when my artist signed. I like when my artist signed or there's some sort of a logo from the artist. Shows that this was like branded. I get some people probably don't want like a version without the signature, but I love signatures. Honestly, if you're gonna draw anything for me, please sign it. I would love to have it be signed as well. My friend immediately hit him with the receipts. Back in the old campaign, Shinjin offered to draw a party. I declined and asked my girlfriend to draw mine. My friend pulled up the Shinjin's old campaign art and proved that every single piece that Shinjin drew was traced from Pinterest. For the Saint's art, he literally just traced over someone else's work and changed the clothes pattern and hair color. Shinjin player lost his mind, screaming that we were committing a crime, that I should have resolved things with them directly instead of leaving the call for sleep months ago. I literally had zero interactions with the guy, outside of brief in-character moments. He was clearly just looking for rage bait. I ignored him. Weeks later, I posted a work-in-progress sketch my girlfriend was doing in public server. Since his tracing argument failed, the Shinjin player rallied the GM and the Seion. 3 of them took my girlfriend's sketch, edited a brown smudge onto my character's pants to make it look like he pooped himself, started mocking it in the chat. What absolute man babies, dude. I just wished them well, realizing how utterly miserable they must be to still be blaming us for their campaign falling apart months later. I blocked all 3 of them and moved on. Nowadays, they're infamous in the small DBU bubble we have. Anyone who asks about them will get some accounts similar to this, a tiring cycle of blatant favoritism and personal grudges over a game of make-believe. You can never stop man-children, and man-children will always be man-children. But anyway, it's good. Honestly, it's a good thing that you did this. You did specifically the right thing. You didn't engage with a rage bait. God, I hate how modern day lingo, crashing out, rage bait. Everybody's trying to force some sort of stupid new word out there. I get it. It makes sense. A rage bait makes sense. They're trying to bait some sort of reaction out of you. But God, I hate modern day lingo. I think it's stupid. Can we go back to like the 1800s when people say the poppycock out loud? No, for real. These guys are trying to get a reaction. They're trying to bait out a reaction just so they can get into a fight because they just got nothing going on in their lives. Don't engage, just block and move on. That's the best thing to do. I'm proud. What am I saying with an accent? I'm proud of you for doing that. I suddenly turned Russian. I'm your Russian tiefling father. Hello, son or daughter. I'm proud of you. And with that, that's going to be all our stories for today. I want to thank you very much for watching, and thanks so much for being here. If you like what I do, consider subscribing to the channel and leaving a like. Also, if the RPG Horror Stories ever goes down, or if you want to submit your own personalized horror story, email is down in the description below. I'll see you again in more Tales tomorrow. Bye-bye.